What is up, Packers fans? Welcome into the Pack a Day podcast, Postgame Show, Packers Victory Edition over the Chicago Bears. I've got great news. We should be Chicago Bears fans free in the chat today. I have a feeling we're not going to get a lot of Bears fans talking smack in the comments today, so that should make this a little bit more enjoyable. It was a really, really fun game out at Lambeau Field. I did just come right from the game. Thank you guys all for being here. By the way, we are presented and sponsored by Luiges Pizza. Huge shout out to Luiges Pizza for sponsoring the show. Get your victory pizzas ready, everybody. If you don't have one now, go to the store tomorrow. Get your victory pizza for tomorrow. It'll still hit just as amazing tomorrow. It's going to taste extra delicious. I'm going pepperoni per usual, but the Supremes are great. The sausage and pepperoni, the Big Daddies, the garlic dippers. Whew. All of them are amazing. Check them out, luigespizza.com, and on social media at Luiges Pizza. As I just mentioned, I just came right from Lambeau Field. I am doing this with no lifelines. I haven't had the opportunity to watch the TV copy of the game or the rewatch or anything like that. Just my fresh impressions from the game. But this was a really fun NFC North old school battle. I thought there was a lot of really fun moments. I thought the Bears played pretty darn good football throughout the course of the game. And when you're 21-21 at the end, 8 minutes left, this is the type of game that you live for in December at Lambeau Field. All the history, just all of the rivalry, the smack talk all throughout the week. This is what you wanted to see. And how did Green Bay respond to it? And I think the cool thing was, 8 minutes left. They just go down and tie the game. Green Bay gets the ball. And just what Jordan Love has done, and I know that was a big Josh Jacobs drive. I'm sure we'll talk about that. But just what Jordan Love has done really all season in those clutch situations, he has consistently driven his team into scoring range and allowed either field goals or touchdowns, to take place and to put them in positions to be successful. I had all the confidence that Jordan was going to go down and be able to put points on the board. Again, Josh Jacobs was incredible. They put up 7. And then the question was going to be, could they hold on? And you knew that Detroit was, to me, not only going to play for the touchdown, the way that they called that drive, they were going for 2. I have no doubt about it whatsoever. Chicago was going to go for 2 if they got that touchdown. And it's always one of those odd situations because you get in those 3rd and 1s and you're like the time's ticking against you and you got to do hurry up. And then you just think you're going to pick up the 3rd and 1 and then you don't. And then all of a sudden it's 4th and 1. And now the game's on the line on that play. They call a rollout for Caleb, and Caleb just puts one up there, and Keyshawn Nixon comes up with a huge interception. A little bit of a redemption. I thought it was an interesting game for Keyshawn. The legal hands to the face is a brutal play for him, but it's not that big of a deal in the scheme of things. Then he gets the personal foul, and to me, that's a rough call. He just knocked his hand down. He was getting choked. I thought that was a brutal job by the officials on that particular play. And then he allows the touchdown, but he's got phenomenal coverage. I don't know how he doesn't bat that one away, but he's got phenomenal coverage on that play. But then he also has a couple pass breakups and then gets the interception to end the game. So quite the roller coaster of a game for Keyshawn Nixon, but a bit of a redemption at the end, which was really, really cool. He just continues to battle no matter what happens. This is why, and I saw it all again as soon as the 15-yard penalty happened, cut him, release him, trade him, get rid of him, etc. Well, it turns out he ended up having a pretty big moment at the end of that game. So thankfully they didn't do that. Listen, when it happened, Matt pulled him out for a couple plays, got in his ear about it. Understandably so, even though I thought there was a kind of a BS penalty at the time, and they came back in and he responded from there on out. So good on Keyshawn for that particular play. Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about the hold on Micah as well. I don't understand it. The Bucks fans, for those of you who are in there, have gone through this a little bit this season when Giannis has been healthy and just not getting calls on the Bucks. And it seems very similar for Micah. And, I asked Matt about it in the post-game presser of, what does Micah need to do to get a holding penalty? And, I don't think there's an answer for it right now. There are some very clear and obvious situations where he is getting absolutely mauled and just no flag, just refs consistently turning the eye in the other direction. It's maddening. You would think there'd be a one every now and again. I'm not saying every play, but once every couple of weeks at least with the amount that he gets held, but he just cannot seem to get that penalty call one way or the other. But very fun game. Packers move to number 2 in the standings, which is huge. They would have a home game. They go to number 1 in the NFC North, but a lot of time left. Denver coming up this week, and Denver is going to be a ridiculously tough game, followed by Chicago in Chicago, which is going to be a very tough game, followed by Baltimore at home, which, if I had to guess, Baltimore is likely going to be in a very must-win situation in that situation. And then you got Minnesota and Minnesota, which is what it is. But they played much better today as well. So nothing's going to come easy for Green Bay. And now it's up to them to go out and keep this number 1 spot in the NFC North. Meanwhile, the Bears get Cleveland next week is who they get. So Green Bay is a much more difficult opponent. Although in the last week or last couple weeks, Chicago does have both Detroit and San Francisco in those last couple weeks. So not going to be easy for Chicago either. Look who's here. Paul Farrington Show. It's curious that holding calls don't work like roughing calls, where being famous means you get more. If anything, it's the opposite. Yeah. Listen, I thought there should have been a few holding calls in that play. Today was the worst day ever. I disagree. Hey, you guys got a win, at least. Paul Farrington Show. Vikings looked competent. McCarthy looked competent. He did take 4 sacks today, but had multiple touchdown throws, a shutout performance by the Vikings. So, hey, nice job. Nice job, Paul Farrington Show and the Minnesota Vikings. You at least got that going for you, but I know you're big Notre Dame fans. That certainly did not go your way either. So, yeah, great day to be a Green Bay Packers fan. More importantly, great day to be a Green Bay Packers fan, and awful day to be a Chicago Bears fan, which is what we really, really love. All right, so let's get to some super chats right away. Shane the Tree Guy, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. You are a legend, my friend. Thanks so much for that. Hey, these are the ones I'm happy to be wrong about. I do usually tell you guys to do the opposite, for the record. That is usually what I do tell you. But hey, I thought the corners did a great job. I was talking to Westendorf about this at the game today. I was like, man, did DJ Moore just decline this much real quick? Because he was a complete non-factor in that game. It did feel like they lost, could feel the loss of Roma Dunze in that one, but they couldn't get anything going on the outsides. And I think despite some of the, issues with Keyshawn throughout the course of the game, I thought for the most part, Valentine and Keyshawn did a really, really good job outside on their wide receivers. I know Morrigan ended up with negative yards on the day. Zacchaeus had the 1 touchdown. But where did we end up receiving wise? Burden had 4 for 67, so he had a decent day. Duvernay had 1 for 24. Zacchaeus had 2 for 7. Moore had 1 for -4. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 catches for their wide receivers for 67, 91, 98, 94 yards. That's it. 94 yards and the 1 touchdown to Zacchaeus. Not much going for their outside wide receivers, and a huge credit to Green Bay's corners for that. You could tell, I thought Ben Johnson called a really great game to try to get consistently, Caleb on the move and outside of the pocket. He didn't call much for him to stay in the pocket. And I thought that was a smart move. Caleb did buy time on a couple different occasions and, had his usual elusive behavior. But I thought overall, Ben Johnson did a good job, but they just didn't feel comfortable. And until Caleb Williams gets to the point where he can be a drop back passer and play from the pocket and hit his receivers to all levels of the field, that's going to hold the Chicago Bears offense back. Johnson had to scheme his way through Caleb Williams in that game. If that was as clear as day. They couldn't just call if Caleb Williams would have been asked to call the offense that Jordan Love got called got asked to call in that game, it would have been an unmitigated nightmare. You could tell that Ben Johnson felt like he had to kind of hold Caleb's hand through that game. And Caleb made some spectacular plays. And I'm still, I still think Caleb Williams can be a really good quarterback in this league, but you can just tell there's still some training wheels on there. And until that changes, that's going to hold their offense back. And again, the pass rush for Chicago, just fairly non-existent. Did have the 1 sack early, but that was pretty much it. And Jordan had a good deal of time to throw throughout the huge course of the game. But yeah, DJ Moore 1 for -4. Not a great day for him. Michael, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. You are a legend as well, my friend. Thank you so much. Understated play of the game was Jacobs' 3rd and 1 run on the last drive. Should have been loss of 4. Instead, he breaks it. Probably settle for a field goal if he doesn't make a play. I thought Jacobs ran incredibly well in this game. I'm really looking forward to going through and watching the all-22 in the running game on this one, because I thought personally, Jacobs, just 20 for 86, 4.3 yard average, nothing super sexy. Did have a 21-yard run, but I thought it was tough running. I thought he made something out of nothing on a variety of different runs in this game. And some of those plays on that final drive, the pitch play to the outside, and then even the touchdown run at the end, just really big time stuff for Josh Jacobs. And he continues to come up huge for Green Bay. Massive win against an unbelievably lopsided officiating crew. To be honest, though, not a fan of having to play them twice this year. They look legit. Yeah, I thought they did a lot of things really well. There were some interesting calls. I don't know if eventually they showed something different on the Fox feed, but man, I thought Musgrave really had that catch. The interception, fumble, incomplete / catch / not knowing what to do with that one. I was talking to Brettel and Westendorf, and I'm like, that could have gone any way. And I would have been like, yeah, that's fine. I can sort of understand it. That at times looked like a catch, at times looked like a fumble, at times looked like an incomplete pass, and at times looked like an interception, all rolled into one. When it first happened, I told Westendorf, actually I told Brettel, excuse me, I'm like, I think that's an incomplete pass because I don't think the receiver ever had full control. Then I don't think Evan ever had full control, but it's really, really difficult to tell. And if you wanted to argue interception or fumble or almost anything on that play, I could probably believe it, which just goes to show you how crazy it is to officiate some of that stuff. But that was an odd one. Obviously, the illegal hands to the face on Nixon was legit. The personal foul after I thought was a really weak call. Just feel like Green Bay couldn't get a break in that game when it came to some of the officiating. The Musgrave one looked really, really odd to me, though. Generally, Brian, thank you for the chats. Generally pride myself in making educated, salient points when I decide to comment, but I'm now drunk, so I'll leave you with the Bears still suck. Brian, that's awesome, my friend. I hope you're having a great time, and I will gladly take a drunk super chat any day of the week, so appreciate it, my friend. Was so frustrated with Matt LaFleur's play calling and decisions after the Philly game, but he's really improved ever since the New York Giants game, from 1-5 in the NFC North to 4-0. It's a huge difference what they've done in the NFC North this year. And quite frankly, again, people may not like this. I thought a lot of the play calling today was pretty similar. I thought some of it against Detroit. I thought Detroit, they were maybe a bit more aggressive, but Minnesota, they were pretty conservative. Guys are executing. Guys are making plays. You look better as a coach when guys go out and make plays for you. There were plays today that if that third down toss to Josh Jacobs, if he doesn't make an unbelievable, individual effort on that play, everyone's complaining about Matt LaFleur making a shitty play call in that situation, right? The handoff on the inside run play, right? Out of shotgun, the one I joked on Twitter, and I said, this is why Green Bay's been running out of shotgun on 3rd and short all season long, was for that very moment. If they get stuffed on that play, everyone again is being like, oh, Matt LaFleur just calling another inside, draw play on 3rd down out of shotgun. That would have been the talking point if they get stuffed on that play. Late in the game on that final touchdown drive, if on that final play, Josh Jacobs gets stuffed and they have to settle for a field goal, or if he loses yards and have to get, settle for a field goal, everyone's saying Matt LaFleur sucks. What is he doing as a play caller? I honestly think that play calling is just like this Pandora's box of, if something goes wrong on offense or defense, I don't have to have a nuanced take on it. So I can just say the play calling sucked. Bad play calling. And if it worked, it's like, oh, what a great play call by Matt LaFleur. And more often than not, there's every once in a while where there's clearly something of just like, what were you thinking on that play? Or like, oh my God, what a beautifully designed and drawn up play in that scenario. Every once in a while on the other outliers like that. But for the most part, these are normal everyday play calls that sometimes work and you get, one over on the defense. And other times the defense is there and they're going to make plays too. And so, yes, I thought that this was some really good stuff over the course of the last 4 weeks on the whole. But again, I think players are executing at a little bit of a higher level than they were earlier in the season. And to me, that's the bigger difference, not just play calling being better or worse, in specifically in this game as well. Regarding your pie Mount Rushmore, how did pizza pie not make the list? To me, pizza's in its own category, my friend. Pizza is the goat of all foods. So we don't even have to make a Rushmore when it comes to, it's just pizza, 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 pizza. And that's all we need, really. That is the diet for the most part. Victory is ours. What a satisfying win, having Caleb throw the game-ending interception and Love a fourth quarter comeback. Matt LaFleur has earned a 1 to 2 year extension, go Pack go. Well, it certainly is not going to be a 1 to 2 year extension, most hated Chicagoan. That's either you're going lame duck year. If it's a 1 year extension, that's a lame duck extension. So that's a zero faith extension. It'll either be like a 4 year extension or it'll be nothing or a lame duck or something like that. But yeah, if it continues this way, but this is where, again, I say, and before, when everyone's like, fire Matt, I'm like, hey, let's see how this plays out the rest of the year. And now I jokingly, because everyone wants to tweet out fire Matt LaFleur when things go bad, I jokingly tweet out extend LaFleur when things go good. But I've said all along, through good and or bad, Matt will be judged on what this team does in the playoffs. If this team is one and done in the playoffs, it doesn't matter that they had this 4-game win streak. It just doesn't. That's going to look really crappy on his resume if they go one and done in the playoffs. And on the flip side, nobody's going to remember the loss to the Browns or the loss to the Panthers or any of those that tie to Dallas if they go on and win the Super Bowl. So the playoffs are going to be the great measuring stick for where this team is at. And they've got a long way to go. They've got a long next 4 weeks. You know, they're at what, 97% chance now to make the playoffs. I haven't checked it since the 95%. 95% to make the playoffs. If they win either of their next 2 games, it goes to greater than 99% chance to make the playoffs. So if they win any one of their next 4, it goes to 98% or better to make the playoffs. They're basically 1 win away from making the playoffs. But this team, there's still a lot to be decided. So I think you guys know, I think Matt's a tremendous football coach. I think Green Bay's lucky to have him. I think he does a really good job. But this season in particular, with expectations where they are, will be judged by his playoff performance, not by a 4-game winning streak, nor by some of his earlier losses in the season. Let's see what happens in the playoffs, and then we'll have a little bit of a better feel for where things are at with Matt. The lack of holding calls on Mike is insane. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. You would, I was talking to Spoff on my way down to the press conference of like, you would think just like by accident, he would draw a couple holding penalties based on how much he gets absolutely mugged at the point of attack. I don't understand it. I absolutely do not understand it. You know, it's one of those things where he gets held on every play, and I can understand you can't call holding on every play. You're just going to bog down the game or whatever, but can we get one? Can we get one? Can we please get one? Just one every now and again would be nice. It just feels like they're just not going to do it. And I don't understand it. Do not understand it. Let's go, boys. Bears still suck. Travel Seeker, thank you for the super chat. Cool, the Bears may have a quarterback. We got the better one. It's not even close, to be honest. It's not even a question. Jordan is unquestionably better at this point in time. Maybe Caleb down the road is, but it's not particularly close at the moment. Again, what Ben Johnson did to basically, I don't want to say necessarily watered down, but listen, a good offensive mind gives his player good looks, right? But there's a reason there was so much bootleg and play action over and over, and they were spamming it, is because they didn't fully trust that if, he was just going to go drop back, to pass consistently and have to read the field and go through progressions. I don't think Ben Johnson felt good in those situations for Caleb. And I think that's why he called the game that he did, which was really good, by the way. And Caleb, for the most part, executed it pretty damn well up until the end. But there's a lot more that's on Jordan's plate, and he came up huge and had some huge, huge throws in this game, again, as he does pretty much every single week. Hey, Alexa. Oh, she's going to listen to me if I say it. All right. She didn't. I cut it off in time. Play The Power of Love by Huey Lewis and the News. Yes, that's a good one. It's a good celebratory song today. I'm still a fan of Bang on the Drum. You do some Jump in the Stands. You can put some Yeezy on. Weezy on, not Yeezy. My apologies. But either way, lots of songs to celebrate with. Bunch of Bo Melton haters earlier today. Pretty quiet now. I told you. I'm sorry, but Malik Heath's not making that play. He's just not. Melton's a good football player, and he is such an absurd asset to have on a 48-man roster. Ooh, things are getting ugly for the Chiefs. The dynasty might be over. Down 10-0. Jalen Petrie just picked off a pass. But no, Bo Melton, to have him be able to play special teams offense and, play a little defense as well, not that he hasn't had to do it yet, although on that play today where he had to use the pass interference to probably break up an interception on that one, that's a smart play by him. That's a very good play by him. But overall, he's such a huge asset on game day and came up with a huge touchdown play. Here, true story about that play. Bo Melton was in the game right before that play. And I mean, right before that play, I go to Westendorf and I'm like, it's really weird that Bo Melton is continuing to get, like, you just got Jaden Reed and, Matthew Golden back. Dontavian Wicks is there. You've got Romeo Dobbs. You got Christian Watson. I'm like, I would have expected Bo Melton to get 0 snaps on offense with all of your guys back. And he's like, yeah, we were both talking about it back and forth of like, it doesn't make really much sense to have Melton out there anymore based on the receiver depth that you have and that everyone's basically healthy. We found out later that Wicks is dealing with an ankle injury still. And that obviously, Reed was on a little bit of a snap count. And so they had some issues come up or whatever. But right after that, literally right as I'm basically saying, like, seems weird that Bo Melton's still, and you guys know I love Bo Melton, but based on the depth chart, I'm like, I can't believe they're using him as much as they, and then all of a sudden, boom, 50-yard touchdown or whatever it was. Cool play though for Bo Melton. Back up the Brinks truck for Watson. How good does Christian Watson look? How freaking good does Christian Watson look? 4 for 89 and 2 touchdowns. And I'm just going to say it. They need to build more of this offense out of Christian Watson. Like he looks that damn good. They have their wide receiver one. It's Christian Watson. Like, no question about it. They have to be a little bit more focused. And I know that, hey, whoever gets open and whatever the play calls for and things like that, sometimes it's players over plays. Christian Watson's that dude right now. And you've got to make sure that you give him, to me, 4 targets isn't enough. And I know that there's a lot of receivers and a lot of mouths to feed him, yada, blah, 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 blah. He's the best of them. And I think, when you're averaging 22.3 yards per catch, like he did in today's game off 4 receptions with 2 touchdowns, got to make sure you're feeding him. And I think even more than what Green Bay has done so far. And even in today's game, Packers equals Luigi's, Bears equals DiGiorno. Well, Bears would be deep dish, right? Some sort of deep dish pizza coming from Chicago. Listen, a really quick deep dish take. I'm a lover of all things pizza. Okay. If it's pizza, I'm going to eat it. I'm going to mostly enjoy it. Deep dish is the least fun pizza experience for me. It's fine. I'm not going to hate on it, but I would go pretty much every other style of pizza before I would get to deep dish. Again, it's cool. If I'm going to be in Chicago and everyone wants to go and get deep dish pizza, cool. I'm in. I'm going to eat it. I'll probably enjoy it, but it's my least favorite of the pizzas. Plus, it's a Chicago thing, so gross. Jordan Love's accuracy down the field is insane. I don't think people are talking enough about his improvement in accuracy. I just really don't. Was he 17 of 25 today? My stats don't show. Oh, so that's easy. Times 4, right? So 68%. So yeah. Just making sure I'm right there. That's got to be right. So yeah, 68%, which is what he's been at on the season so far. He's been remarkable. He's at 67.1% completion percentage on the season. Now up to 3,028 yards, 22 touchdowns, 4 picks. His projected stat line is about 4,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, 5 picks for the season with a 105.4 rating. We are so spoiled. We are so insanely spoiled. To go from Brett to Aaron to this. And yeah, maybe this is the third best of the 3. I mean, it's just an absurd embarrassment of quarterback riches. I don't know what else to say. The fact that you can end the Favre era, go to Rodgers, end the Rodgers era, and go to Love. And somewhere there's like a 5-year-old right now that doesn't know it yet. That is the future, probably Hall of Fame quarterback of the Green Bay Packers that is going to take over for Jordan after a messy divorce, and he has to go and play for the Jets for a couple of years. But it's really remarkable. It's really, really remarkable. Kipperoni, member for 15 months, late to the party, but go Pack Go. Now on to Denver. Kipperoni, thank you for being a member for 15 months, and thanks for being here, my friend. Never late, always on time, just like Gandalf, just like a wizard. David, thank you for being here. Super happy about the win, but the fact is we let them back in it. We have plenty to clean up moving forward. 17 play drives just can't happen. Go Pack Go. what I would say is that this is what good football teams, or good football games are. There's going to be back and forth. Yeah, I didn't expect to just blow out Chicago in this game. You knew they were going to fight back. You knew they were going to have moments. And you might say, hey, 17 drives ain't it. You've got to be able to get it. Yes, you'd like to get off the field in those, but to again, what modern NFL defenses are doing are they're daring you. Can you put together these 17 play drives? And for the most part, they're saying, we don't think you can do it. We don't think you can do it. And Chicago in the second half had to work insanely hard for a 10-play, 64-yard touchdown drive and a 17-play, 83-yard touchdown drive. And Green Bay had some chances. You'd like to see them convert a little bit more on those. But Chicago had to work. And you made them work. You made them earn it. You defended every blade of grass. And at times, teams are going to put up points. Like 21 points. Would I have liked to see them held under 20? Yes, I would have liked to have seen them held under 20 in this game. But 21 points is a winning performance from the defense. And I thought they really made Chicago earn it. And Chicago's got, a lot of talent on offense and a really, really smart offensive mind. So to me, this is a winning performance by the defense still. They cap it with an interception at the end. I'll take it. Some things to clean up, sure. But they made Chicago earn it on any of their scoring drives. And that's all you can ask for. All right, HBK forever. Was Gary even in on the last play? Is 55 playing ahead of him? I'd have to go back and watch. I think on the very last play, because it was a 4th and 1, I think Gary got taken off at the end because I think he was on, and there was the timeout right before the play, right? Because I don't know if they talked about this on the game. They had 12 men on the field. So they had 12 men on the field, and then Gary was the one who came off, and they ran that play without Gary. But I think they're thinking that was going to be, sort of more of like a goal line situation and trying to stuff him on 4th down. I'd have to see if Enigbari was in, but I thought Gary played pretty well in this game early. I didn't think his name got called much late. That doesn't necessarily mean much until we go watch the tape, but I'll have to kind of review it a little bit closer to see how Gary played in total in this game. And I think for the most part, Enigbari and Gary are getting pretty similar snaps. At least that's what it's been as of late. Jay Rose, thank you so much, my friend. Really appreciate that. Hardest working man covering the pack. Andy, how good is that Watson contract looking? Alpha wide receiver 1 incoming. First of all, thank you so much for the kind words. Thank you for the super chat. That Watson deal looks incredible. It looks beyond incredible at the moment. And I thought it was smart for both sides at the time. For Green Bay, there was always the upside of something exactly like this, where you get a great wide receiver on a pretty amazing 1-year deal. And for Watson, it gave him a little bit of insurance, right? Of, hey, if all of a sudden I come back and I don't look the same, or I re-injure something, I still have that money set where again, it gives me a little bit of comfort, a little bit of security in case something happens. I thought it was smart for both sides, but man, right now it looks unbelievable for Green Bay, and you have to love what that means for Green Bay going into next year with that contract. But you would think that there's a good chance that Green Bay, based on what they've seen so far, looks to extend him even further. Wouldn't be surprised if those conversations take place in the offseason. Bry442. Great question at the press conference, Andy. Great reaction from the coach. Appreciate everything you do. I don't want to disagree with much. I actually thought I worded that very poorly. Came across, nobody said anything to me or anything like that, but I thought it came across a little homerish. I wish I would have, it's not the way I meant it to come across. I think I could have asked it differently, just in hindsight. Like as soon as it left my mouth, I'm like, it's a little bit kind of cringe because it comes across again as like a homer question, in my opinion. So I wish I would have said something. And I haven't even thought about this of like what the exact wording would be, but like, kind of maybe starting where Pete Doherty followed up on it of like, what did you see when you were talking to the referees and looking at the Micah Parsons holding penalty? And then, maybe following it up after that with, do you feel like, Micah is getting, officiated correctly or something to that extent. So I wish I would have worded that different, but the question is fair. It's 1,000,000% fair, but I appreciate the kind words, but I wish I would have actually asked that a little bit differently, to be honest. Kevin, thank you for the chat. Theory, Packers beat the Bears in another close one in 2 weeks, win the North, and the Lions Bears play for the final playoff spot on Sunday night in week 18. That'd be fun. I'll take that gladly. I would gladly sign up for that. I just need to see Green Bay find a way to win this NFC North. Because I think, to me, that's their opportunity to make a run at this thing. I've talked about it. I don't think you can make a 3-game run on the road. It's NFC. I think it's going to be too tough. So they've got to find a way to pick up the win and win the NFC North to get that at least one home game to start and then go from there. But that number 1 seed, let's see where that's at. To get the number 1 seed in a bye, only 11% chance after today. They got no help from teams that you wouldn't expect much help from, but both Seattle and the Rams won easily in their specific games, and the Rams looked really good again. So they got no help there. So Green Bay's currently at an 11% chance to get the number 1 seed outright, but number 2 would still be a very important seed in my opinion. Riley Angel 7134. What's going on with the refs not calling holding penalties against Parsons? I have no idea. No idea. Don't believe they're not seeing it as often as it's happening. Refs are reluctant to call even blatant holding to keep the flow of the game going. I think there's probably some part of that, which again, I know you can't call it on every single play, right? I understand there's that aspect of it, but you have to at least call it every now and again when it's happening over and over and over and over. You can't turn a blind eye every single time. That's what's frustrating to me. So, I mean, if we're just going to not call it anymore, then just make it legal. Make it legal to hold. Hey, you can hold this much and we're not going to call it. At least it's consistent then. But my goodness, it's crazy what's getting away with, or what offensive linemen are getting away with against Micah, who, if they call it, I get it. If you start setting precedent where you're going to call it, you kind of have to keep calling it. So I don't know if they're just trying to avoid those situations, but my goodness, it's super unfair the way that he's being officiated. Go you Packers, go and get them, fight you fighting fools, upset them, smash them into the line, and bring the bacon home into old Green Bay. I don't know what that is, but I'll take it. And thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you a ton. I still think the toss was a bad play. That was kind of my point earlier, Dewey, is that, if people, if it wouldn't have worked, people would have been calling it out, right? It worked. Josh Jacobs made an unbelievable play. I understand the thinking on the play. I really do. And I don't think it was perfectly executed, as Matt talked about in his post-game press conference. If it would have been executed a little bit better, probably would have been easier. I also think that at some point in time, I was talking to Westendorf about this as well. There are points where I want to be like, we got to get Josh Jacobs the ball. He's too good. Let him cook. As much as we want to see Jordan cook, there are times where I want to see Josh Jacobs cook as well. So give him an opportunity. I thought on that toss play, they gave Jacobs an opportunity, and he made the most of it. He made a huge play in the game. You don't want to handcuff Jacobs just because the offensive line maybe isn't quite as good as you want it to be. You still have to give him opportunities. I thought they did on that play. I thought he made the most of it. But I do know if they get stuffed on that play, everyone hates Matt LaFleur for it, for sure, right? I don't think there's any question about it. That's where there's a lot of nuance when it comes to just play calling. Tell Ben Swolson to put his shirt back on. No hot dogs in Chicago for the Teddy Bears. The Bears still stuck. Get wrecked. Pack on the Bears always. It's a good day to be a Packers fan, Pokey. It's a good day to be a Packers fan. Have Enigbari and Ryan started playing well enough for extensions? Also, how many more games do you think Green Bay needs to win to make the playoffs? Well, we just looked at that, Kenneth. It's basically one. It's not for sure by just winning one, but just winning one more should get you there. But let's not leave it at that. Let's hopefully see Green Bay win the division. As far as Ryan and Enigbari, I'm going to go and watch how Ryan played in this one, and I think how he plays the remainder of this year is going to tell it a little bit more. Enigbari is a really interesting conversation. I'd love to know what that contract looks like. Are we looking at 3 for 30? 2 for 20? If you could get Enigbari at 2 for 20, that's a really interesting conversation. You're somewhere around there. I think I would do that. And then we've talked about it. I think you're probably looking at trying to trade away Rashawn Gary in the offseason based on the contract. So if you could get Enigbari back at 2 for 20, get off of Gary's contract, pick up a day 3 pick in return, and then kind of go next year with LVN, Enigbari, and Micah as your ends, with Baron Sorrell, Colin Oliver, Brenton Cox as your backups, I'd feel pretty good about that going into next year for sure. I think you could make an argument for doing something exactly like that. You guys are incredible with the super chats. Thank you guys so incredibly much. Hayden, this was a stressful one, Andy, but I'm enjoying the thought of Ben Johnson eating his words. I've loved your coverage of the Pack this year. Keep up the great work and go Pack go. Hayden, appreciate that a ton. Yeah. listen, I know Steno was the only one that kind of admitted to it. Love did a little bit in the post-game presser today. That mattered to Green Bay. And I guarantee you they wanted to have their coaches back. I really do. I don't know any inside information or anything. I bet that mattered a lot. And Steno gave us a little bit more into that of like, you just know. It's just not something you say of like in I think if Ben Johnson would have went with, and I really enjoy beating Green Bay twice a year, no harm, no foul. Like, right, that's what you're supposed to say as a new head coach. It's like in wrestling, it's a cheap pop, right? Play to your audience, play to your crowd. Cool, understood, totally get it. To bring up another coach, and I've heard Bears fans, Robert Mays on the Athletic Football Show said it himself. He's like, oh, obviously they have some sort of connection, and then you find out they don't. They don't know each other. It's just kind of weird. It's just kind of awkward. It's not something you do. It's probably something, quite frankly, that if a Packers coach said it, I'd probably be like, all right, that's kind of badass or whatever. But I guarantee you, Packers wanted to show Johnson of like, hey, we got our coaches back, and they did, and they went out and won it. And again, I think in totality, the NFC North matchup, the Bears, the playoff seeding, like there was so much at stake there that it wasn't just the Matt LaFleur thing. But I think people knew in that locker room, and they had their coaches back on this one. They took us to the wire, but the Bears still suck. Extend Watson before he gets too expensive. Might be too late, Dennis. Might be too late. That Jameson Williams contract extension probably looks pretty similar of what you need to give Christian Watson at this point. Probably worth it. But then you get into the injury question of, can he stay healthy enough? When he's in there, he looks amazing. It's tough, but those conversations will definitely take place the way that he's playing right now. Wicks did play barely. I was about to actually ask Matt about that, because I was commenting on it multiple times of how Wicks was not getting in the game. I thought he got hurt. Matt did say in the post-game presser, he's still dealing with that ankle injury. And I don't know if it flared up or whatever the heck happened, but clearly he was fighting something, and it wasn't quite where they wanted it to be. And I don't think we saw a snap from Dontavian Wicks in the second half. So Golden played just a little bit. Wicks barely played at all. I don't know if Justice has his snap counts up yet. AcmePackingCompany.com. Justice does an incredible job. Here we go. So these are per Justice's counts. Wicks and Golden each played only 5 snaps in this one. Bo Melton played 9. Jaden Reed played 25. Dobbs played 42. Watson played 44. So not a ton for Wicks and Golden. We'll have to kind of monitor that going into Denver this week and see how much they practice and if they play and things like that. But clearly Golden was not 100% yet. And then, Wicks, it sounds like still dealing with that ankle injury. It's almost remarkable, by the way, that when Savion Williams caught that huge play against the Giants, he clearly was not 100% and probably shouldn't have even been playing, and then has missed the last, 2 or 3 weeks since. And yet he came up with that play in that moment. And Wicks clearly not 100%, dealing with some stuff, dealing with that ankle, barely played this week, but came up with that huge, huge game last week against Detroit. It's remarkable what some of these players can do even when not 100%. BCS, too tough. I wish we could have seen this with Watson, Reed, and Kraft. I know. Christian just makes everything look better. This is something I've talked about quite a bit. It's a travesty that we don't get to see this offense ever fully functional, but it is an interesting conversation. Not that you want to make the choice or whatever, but would you rather have Watson or Kraft? Watson just opens up so much explosive playmaking in this offense. Losing Kraft is a killer, but Watson makes up for it in an entirely different way. I think, I don't know. It's a really, I think I take Kraft just because I still like Reed and Wicks and Dobbs and everyone else in offense, but man, it's a really interesting trade. I wonder if you were to ask like an NFL coach on a game day, like, hey, you can start the game with either Christian Watson or Tucker Kraft. Which one do you want? It's an interesting conversation. But it's a bummer, to your point, BCS, that we can't have both, because both plus Jaden Reed would be really, really fun. And Josh Jacobs next year, hopefully that ends up being the case. I mean, if everything goes according to plan, as soon as Kraft gets back, hopefully he's ready to open the season, if not shortly thereafter. But Jacobs, Kraft, Golden, Watson, Reed should be your starting 5 next year. Is that a missed field goal for KC? Man, things just are not going well for them right now. Alexander Newell, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a member for 24 freaking months, 2 years, my friend. That's amazing. Got to watch this game with a couple of Bears friends at a big bar, split 50-50. It was an impeccable atmosphere to show the world that the Bears still suck. Like I said, very, very good day to be a Green Bay Packers fan. RTX Nikki, player of the game, crazy the lack of holding calls. I mean, it has to probably be what, Jordan, Christian, or Jacobs, right? Those would be the three. Jordan had the big interception. I'd probably go Christian. I think I go Christian. I know he only had 4 targets and 4 catches, but just felt like he came up huge when they needed him. I would probably go Christian off the top of my head, but I want to rewatch the game a little bit before I make a final statement on that. But my gut would say Christian Watson. We saw one of the new nose tackles today. Jordan Riley was out there. It is so weird watching a number 97 at defensive tackle and not have it be Kenny Clark. But yes, Jordan Riley, we'll see what he was credited with per Justice as well. 14 snaps. So he played 14 snaps in this game. I would think that Bohanna would have the opportunity to be active next week as well. And they'll probably have to make that decision of, do they want Bohanna? Do they want Riley? Do they want Stackhouse? It's probably going to be a little bit fluid, but today they put Riley in over Stackhouse. Stackhouse was inactive, but we'll see where Bohanna comes in that conversation next week as well. Cornerback group can be rough, but if any position group prevents us from reaching the promised land, I think it's the offensive line, especially in the run blocking. I actually think the cornerback group is underrated at this point. I think for the most part, they're playing pretty damn good football throughout the course of the season and is, again, just I think underrated. The offensive line is what I've said for, basically since week 3. It still is a work in progress. I do think it has been better. Do think it's been better. I want to go out and again, watch the all-22 for this one to get a better feel for it. But I do think the offensive line play has been better. Thought Jordan had time for the most part again today. That blitz pickup that they had on the, was it the Melton throw? I think it was the Melton throw. Or maybe it was the Watson one initially too. But when they brought like 7 guys, man, the job the offensive line did to pick up that blitz. Jordan still faded on it, but he didn't need to because everyone picked up their blocks up front. They are playing pretty well in pass pro right now, but the run blocking does still scare me a little bit. Yoshi, thank you for the super chat. The Emmanuel Wilson slip, I had to hold my breath until they scored the touchdown. Go Pack Go. I think he scores on that. At worst, he probably gets down to the 1 yard line. Thankfully, then I think they had the offsides right after, so it put it at the 2. But then Jacobs gets stuffed, and then it's like, ooh, like you get to a 3rd down, then you don't want to have to have a 4th down. But thankfully, Josh Jacobs is really good in the red zone and was able to punch it in there and do what Josh Jacobs usually does and score points. The amount of missed calls, incorrectly called one, seems ridiculous. Is there anything you think the league could do to improve refereeing? Multiple things. It should be a full-time job. The fact that refereeing in the NFL is not a full-time job is insane. And there should at least be one more referee. They're down one, in my opinion. Like, there's so much to go over. There's so much to call. There's so much to keep an eye on that I think they're an official short. And I think that these should be full-time officials. That's my take on it. Those are the 2 big things that they could do. Pokey, if the internet rages enough about the no holds on Micah, do you think the NFL will be forced to address it? Can it get national media level? It shouldn't need to, is the point. We're talking about very obvious common sense stuff here. Mike is getting held constantly. Call it. Not always. I understand you can't call it always, but there should probably be a Micah tax at this point. You're just going to get a Michael hold throughout the course of the game. Like, he's that dominant. He's getting held that much. I don't care when you throw it, but there should be a time and a place where Micah gets that holding call because he's basically getting held. It seems like on almost every single play. And again, I'm not the one that is usually like, oh, the officials and, you could call this on that play. Happens a lot throughout the course of the game, but with Micah, it's so much of a trend at this point where he gets held so insanely much that it's more than a talking point at this point in time. Let's see. Can we also just be able to, I thought that there was a little bit more of that, or at least the ability for them to say, like, upon further review, there were multiple people and they can offset it or something. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but they should be able to do that. I agree, Ian. I totally agree. Yeah, they're not full-time officials. It's insane. It's absolutely absurd. All right. That's not what I want. This is what I want. I know I failed you on my DJ Moore selection, thankfully so. But we've got some picks for Monday Night Football. One of these I will not fail you on. Jalen Hurts, more than 1/2 passing yard. I like that one for Monday Night Football. Feel good about that one. And we're going a little bit unique with a couple wide receivers in this one. Trey Harris. Trey Harris has been playing a lot more for the Chargers, and it's just a matter of time before he starts getting more receptions. I'm going to say this is the game. More than 1.5 receptions for Trey Harris, and A.J. Brown seems to be a little bit more on point, on target. The Eagles offense is seemingly getting him a little bit more involved. I'm going to touchdown for A.J. Brown in this game. More than 1/2 touchdown for A.J. Brown. So Jalen Hurts, more than 1/2 passing yard. A.J. Brown, touchdown. Trey Harris, more than 1.5 receptions in that game. The best part is you can get your picks in over at Sleeper. You don't have to agree with me. You can if you want. 100% match up to $100 by utilizing code PACKADAY. Again, 100% match up to $100 by utilizing code PACKADAY. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper for details. Available in over 25 states nationwide. We're going to have a fun promo coming up for you this week as well, where if you go along with my picks, you're going to have some chances to win some additional stuff. So keep an eye on that. I'm going to announce that tomorrow. So that's going to be a really fun one as well. So keep an eye on that. And again, check out Sleeper if you haven't had the chance to already. Cannot recommend it enough. Makes all of the games even a little bit more fun. They're fun already, but it's even more fun with Sleeper. Make sure to check it out. Back to our questions. Most hated Chicagoan. I know you're Chargers friendly over there. Yeah, they could easily eliminate the Chiefs next week. It's been a rough go, and their offensive line is just beyond obliterated right now. I don't know if the Chiefs can get to 10 in this game. The way that their offensive line is, it's a tough scene, and that Texans offense is really, really, really freaking good. All right, let's go back to our live chats. There's one early that I wanted to get to. I probably can't even see it anymore. I can't remember what it was. Well, I know somebody early asked, holy cow, you guys are awesome with all the questions in here. And thanks to the 1,500 of you who are in there. Oh, Danny right away said, and this I'm sure was actually asked probably before it ended up happening, but why does Matt LaFleur never call a timeout before half? We always let the clock run. I know, Ryan Wood, who I think does an incredible job covering the team, tweeted out like, oh, they're playing for a field goal. I didn't see it that way. They had all 3 timeouts, and they had a minute and like 15 seconds left to start that drive. Personally, I would have called the timeout before the field goal to save the 40 seconds. I think they let 35 seconds run off before kicking the field goal. I would have called the timeout before then to keep the extra time, and then still had 2 timeouts in that situation. But I thought Matt did a good job of understanding the situation. They had the ability to have the final shot. It's kind of like in basketball where you want to make sure you hold for the final shot. I think Matt was really making sure that if anything, they were going to be able to score points before half, and that Chicago, no matter what, wasn't going to be able to get the ball back and score points before half. I think that was really their goal. Now, they scored actually relatively quickly in the scheme of things because they hit the big throw down the field, but the touchdown was always still on the board based on the time that they had left. And they were really making sure that they could at least get in field goal range and make sure that Chicago didn't get the ball back. I thought it was overall, for the most part, well managed, and they were never in a panic mode because of the timeouts that they had. So I actually thought he did a pretty good job with it, and obviously still hit the touchdown at the end. And Zenhelm, I have to go back and watch it. Obviously, I haven't watched it on the All-22. We'll see if if he had a chance to catch it or something, it could still be a negative. But my first glance at it would be the defender had the better chance to make the play on it than the offensive player. And so Melton had to become the defender, and he did a great job of interfering to make sure that it wasn't picked off. Yeah. So it's probably a slight positive for Melton on that play, but I'd have to go back and review it a little bit closer. Pokey. Yes, I'm drunk. Up the irons. Love you, Andy. Let's go. Happy you guys had a fun day. Happy you guys had a fun day. PWP. It's a lot of P's in there. Thank you so much for becoming a brand new member. Appreciate you, my friend. Brendan, who's been a member for 19 freaking months, getting that special feeling about this team. We'll see. We'll see. A lot of time left. These, like I said, these next 3 weeks in particular are not going to be easy. There's probably going to be a hiccup or two along the way, but let's see how they finish the regular season. And again, ultimately, they're going to be judged by their playoff performance. Andy, do you think the Cardinals will buy out Calais Campbell so he can play for a contender? The Packers could replace some of that pass rush lost by Wyatt. I would love that to death. I know that he wrote a huge article in the Players Tribune before the trade deadline that he did not want to go anywhere. He wanted to stay in Arizona Cardinal. So assuming that he still feels that way and wants to stay in Arizona Cardinal, I don't see him going anywhere. I think that they would do him a solid if he wanted out and release him, but it's tough to say. Even if they did, he would have a ton of suitors. Basically, I think any playoff team that, would have interest in him. I really do. I think he's that good. So Green Bay would have to win kind of the bidding war in that situation, but he would be a very fun addition to the defense for sure. Yeah, I thought for the I thought for the most part, Hobbs looked good at first glance. He had the crosser, which I don't think it was entirely his fault. That was a tough play. But outside of that, it looked like at first glance he had a good game. I'll be excited to go and watch him a little bit quicker, or a little bit more in detail is what I meant to say. David, thank you for becoming a new member. Appreciate that. Crazy, called me crazy. I feel they're better off playing in LA. I think for the most part, their defense has been really good at home. And most quarterbacks don't have the arm talent that Jordan does in outdoor situations. Now, in the NFC, like against Philly, I like Jordan's arm talent more than Jalen Hurts. Against Caleb has all the arm talent in the world. Matthew Stafford has all the arm talent. Against Seattle, if you've got Seattle, give me Seattle at home. I know their defense is really good. I know their run game's pretty good, but Darnold's not going to be quite as effective. I just think that there is a lot of reasons: home crowd advantage, home field advantage, conditions. I think actually that there's a good advantage for Green Bay playing at home this year. I really do. I'll take Green Bay at home. Have to learn to let Caleb not roll right. To be fair, he's good at both sides. And also, I think, to be fair, easier said than done. His escapability is so freaking impressive. I mean, so freaking impressive. But, he doesn't have a complete game yet. But that aspect of his game is very difficult to stop. Go Pack Go. Doc Jake, thank you so much for the super chat. Matt's wondering, or is interested, I should say, to see how the Packers match up against the Broncos defense. They had both the front and the secondary to match up with us. The O-line needs to be solid. O-line needs to be solid every week for sure. But this is a big one against Denver. I was surprised. Green Bay opens as 1.5 point favorites against Denver. See if it's changed at all. Yeah, 1.5 point favorites for Green Bay. So we'll see. Looks like it's supposed to be warm in Denver next week, which is interesting. It says 62. I feel like that can't be right, but maybe it is. Either way, that's going to be a really fun game. 11-2 Broncos, winners of what? How many have they won in a row? Denver has won 10 in a row. 10 in a row for Denver, sitting at 11-2 and battling for the number 1 seed in the AFC with New England. That's going to be an epic matchup. 11-2 Broncos against 9-3-1 Packers. Yeah, that is a really, really fun makeup of a game. Where's Green Bay at point differential now? They're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're 7th in point differential in the NFL. By the way, 2 points ahead of Denver. They've won 4 games in a row on their own. Number 1 in point differential this year, Seattle Seahawks, plus 161. Almost, 86 points better than Green Bay? That's crazy. Double Green Bay's point differential. 10-3 for Seattle. 10-3 for the Rams. They sit at plus 152. Patriots are at plus 110. Colts plus 91. What a brutal situation with Daniel Jones and the Colts. That completely and totally sucks. Lions are at plus 90. Bills are at plus 83. Then the Packers at plus 75. The Chiefs, who are looking to potentially be knocked out, are at plus 73. This is the craziness of the NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs going into this game were at plus 73. They're at 6-6. The Broncos are at plus 73. They're at 11-2, and they're in the same damn conference. Just crazy how that stuff works. Beesmus, I spend a lot of time in Colorado. In the winter, it's either snowing or 60 in Denver. All right. Well, apparently it's supposed to be warm next week, and we'll see how that plays out. Wind could always play a factor, though, as well. Yeah, Seattle's defense is really good. They're very, very good. Yeah, the Colts situation's tough. This is why, by the way, you have to be really careful when you make that sort of all-in decision, because if you're wrong, it can go very wrong very fast. And I think Green Bay was at the right time with Micah. I mean, Dallas was not at the right time to go and make that Quinnen Williams trade. And to me, the Colts was over aggressive making that sauce trade. And it just wasn't the right player at the right time. Just wasn't. You have to be really, really careful. And now, things have not gone well for the Colts. And now Daniel Jones has the Achilles, which you can't plan for, of course. But even if Jones was healthy, I thought that was over aggressive. And it looks like it's probably going to haunt them now. The Falcons traded away next year's first round pick. They were eliminated from playoff contention today. They're going to end up with a top 10 pick that's going to go to the Rams. Like, if you're going to trade away future picks, you would better be sure. I thought Green Bay made the right move for the right player at the right time for the right reasons with Micah. Don't understand the Dallas one. Don't understand the Indy one. Don't understand the Falcons' decision to trade away a first. Although Pierce has looked pretty good, but I still thought it was a little bit over aggressive. Is it finally time we breathe when the kicking team takes the field? I will get that Anderson Carl's nervous tick back. I will never feel comfortable with anything special teams related. Black Pearls. Sorry, just can't do it. I will always be a little bit clenched in those situations. Yeah, first glance, I thought Cooper had a really good game. I have to go back. Not only did I not get to see the All-22, I haven't even seen the TV copy yet for some of this stuff. And some of it's tough to kind of pick up in real time. But first glance, I thought the linebackers played well. We're flying around, especially Adrian Cooper in this one. All right, friends, I'm going to get out of here probably pretty quick. I don't think Rashawn Gary looks slow. I just think when you're comparing him to like a Micah Parsons and even Kingsley Enagbare is pretty quick. Like, pretty much every defensive end's quicker than him. But I do think it goes a little bit unnoticed sometimes of how physical and how good Rashawn Gary is at setting the edge and playing the run. He's been really, really good at it. So yeah, he hasn't been quite the impact player from a pass rush standpoint, but I do think he's been a really good run defender, and that strength and that bulk definitely helps in those situations. Bears fans are going to complain about everything. They're like, I tweeted out, can't wait to see the excuses that Bears fans come up for in this one. They'll find something. They always do. What's your prediction on the Packers' record to finish up the season now that you've seen this win against the Bears? That's an interesting question. I kind of think they go 2-2, but I really want to say 3-1 the rest of the way. Denver and Chicago are going to be tough. I think they beat Baltimore. I think they beat Minnesota. And I'll say they split between Denver and Chicago. So I'll say they go 3-1 the rest of the way. 3-1. So you can do the math on that, but they are currently 9-3-1, so 12-4-1. That's not right. Yeah, that is right. 12-4-1. I'll say 12-4-1. Ooh, I like the run the table from Concert to Roberto. Like, the one thing I worry about, I kind of want to see one more loss, if I'm being honest, because they're at 4 in a row now. 4 more would be 8 in a row, and then they'd have to win possibly 4 more to win the Super Bowl. I don't know if this team is capable of winning 12 games in a row. So I almost need to see one more loss in the regular season, just maybe to get them pissed off enough. Hopefully they can still maintain the number 2 seed, pick up some wins early in the playoffs, and go on the run from there. But I'll say 3-1 the rest of the way. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it. As always, we spanked those teddy bears, and now we need to go to Denver and put the ponies in their place. Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, I thought Hobbs did well. Again, I want to watch it a little bit closer, but first glance, I thought he did well in this game. I don't care if this team wins 8 in a row. Let it roll. All right, Matt, I'm in. Let's do it. Thanks for all you do, Andy. Hope you get some good sleep. I will not tonight. This week is going to be a sprint. This week's going to be an absolute sprint. I leave for New York on Thursday. We'll get back from New York on Sunday morning, and then we're going to go right into Packers Broncos again. So I have to fit everything for the entire week into 3 days, and I already struggled to fit it into like 7 days. So there's going to be a little bit of a change this week. Mike was busy this week as well, so no Pack-A-Day Live with Mike Wall and no Mike Wall episode this week. If things go according to plan, tomorrow will be the post-game show with yours truly. And then I'm going to do a happy hour tomorrow. So, because I'm not going to be here Friday. So happy hour will be tomorrow. Tuesday, this is really aggressive, but my goal is to get grades done tomorrow. So if I get grades done tomorrow, grades episode will be Tuesday. Great. And then Tuesday afternoon is going to be members Q&A. Wednesday will be the Farrington show. Thursday is going to be Justice. Friday is going to be Friday will be Brettel. Saturday will be Carmen. Sunday will be pregame show, and then we'll start it all over again. So it's going to be a busy week, but a little bit less than usual this week. No Mike Wall, but Mike will still have his film breakdowns this week, so you'll still have a little bit of Mike Wall. You will have that as well. You'll still have the Aaron Nagler episode for members. So if you haven't signed up to be a member yet, make sure to do that. But yeah, it's going to be a crazy week for me, and just pray I get some sleep this week. That's the hope. Yes, behind enemy lines will be fun. They'll be very fun week. Rare 2-0 week for the Vikings and the Packers combined. We haven't had many of those this year, thankfully, due to the Vikings. Anyway, are these Bears fans so dang unbearable, annoying all week, and now all the excuses? They had all the calls. I told you, they're going to come up with the excuses, guys. They can't just be bad. They can't accept it. It's all just denial. Have fun with it. Enjoy it. Very good chance of some cold Luigi. Actually, no, it never ends up happening because I end up eating all of the warm pizza from Luigi. So I never get cold pizza afterwards. This is true. I would actually love to believe if that was true, that I could sleep after the Super Bowl. But if the season drags into February, not drags, but goes into February, hopefully, then there's going to be a bunch of Super Bowl stuff after. And then we immediately jump into free agency. And then we immediately jump into the draft. And then after the draft is rookie minicamp, and then minicamp, and then OTAs. And then maybe I can get a little bit of sleep from middle of June until end of July. And then it's training camp. Our first training camp with Micah Parsons, by the way. And then it's going to be family night. And then preseason. And then guess what? It's opening week as the Packers open up their Super Bowl defense against, I don't know what team. Who knows? Could be anybody. But should be fun no matter what. And I'm lucky to see what happens next. Don't forget that Luige's Victory Pizza, as I think Jesus is telling you here. Jesus is telling you, don't forget your Luige's Victory Pizza. Pepperoni tonight for my Victory Pizza. That's what I'm going with tonight, John. Yes, at least I don't have to talk. I will, because Notre Dame didn't get the playoff nod. So he's going to be still freaking out about that. No, I don't think we're on a collision course with the Steelers. I don't think they're going to make it that far. Yeah, no, it's a way of life. Pizza is a way of life. No sleep till July. We sleep in July. All right, friends, I'm going to get out of here since I do have a butt ton to do over the course of the next, 3 days, basically. It's going to be a sprint. I'm going to enjoy every second of it. I will see you guys tomorrow morning for the full post-game show after I've had the opportunity to rewatch the game and jot down my notes. And you guys know that episode is chock full of a ton of detail always. So make sure to check that one out, even if you were here for the full live post-game show today. And then I'll be live tomorrow for happy hour as well, which should be a ton of fun. I'll see you guys there. Enjoy your Victory Monday. Enjoy your Luige's Victory Pizzas. Shout out to Luige's and Sleeper for sponsoring today's show. See you guys tomorrow. But until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.